live and direct from the new planet Earth, where pandemics are plenty, but the girls are still pretty in fashionable dresses. You know what I'm talking about. Where ignorance is bliss, and you ain't gotta give a about no code. Tell me who unleashed our animal instinct.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? The draft is over and we are back at the round table on the couch. This is your boy TQ and I have Mr. Bryson Doty.
What's up?
And Mr. Kalani Lua. Joining me today on the Franchise Podcast to talk about the Raiders draft. Now, we must say that the worst kept secret in football was the fact that we were gonna pick Fernando Mendoza first. We did that. Let's start right there. It's a mixed bag about this quarterback. But over the last couple of days, being in the facility, being at the draft party, listening to Raider fans, listening to Raider coaches, listening to Raider greats, Hall of Famers, man, there is an overwhelming feeling of this kid is not only going to be successful, but he's going to be one of the great ones. Yesterday, I was in a conversation and I heard a prominent Raiders newsman who's been covering the team for 30 years say that this guy is John Elway-esque. Boy, now, that's saying a lot to me. I have my trepidations about using this pick. Part of it is probably Raider PTSD. We haven't done too well with the first pick.
It's been rough.
In our history, it's been rough. But I did go back, I rewatched the games that I watched, and I watched some other games. One thing I like about Mendoza, he gets smacked in every single game, and it seems like it makes him better. My worry was that he was gonna come here and get smacked around because, you know, not many people are talking about it, but boy, you seen the schedule, the teams we gotta play this year. It's already a murderer's row in the AFC West every year anyway. Now you're going to add the NFC West. You got to see the Super Bowl champs. You got to see the Niners. You got to see the Rams. They're playing the Bills this year. It's not necessarily a schedule for a starting quarterback, but I did feel better that probably going to be sitting in. We got Kirk Cousins. How do y'all feel about the first overall pick?
I think it was obvious that we were going to get Mendoza, but you hear John Spytek, you hear Clint Kubiak all the time. All they were saying was, we don't want a rookie to start right away. We want a veteran in front of him. So they go out and they get Kirk Cousins, and the optics of this big $172 million contract, obviously people are going to be a little hesitant about it. What it amounts to is a 1-year, $20 million contract with a 2-year option that could pay him a little bit more. So it's really not that bad. After 1 year, they could get rid of him if Mendoza's ready. If not, you'll let Mendoza develop a little bit. Kirk Cousins on the older side, he's probably, as long as he's durable, I mean, he was pretty durable last season when he came off the bench, when he played for a few games, and Atlanta looked pretty good. It looked better than they did with Michael Penix. Yeah. So at least he's a guy that's been around, he's been there for a while, he's someone that can teach Mendoza the ropes. And
the offense. He's
exactly.
An expert at that offense.
And Mendoza's personality seems to mesh pretty well with what we've seen from Kirk Cousins. They seem like they'd be a match made in heaven, something that like you put them in front of a bunch of people and ask them to just talk, and they would say pretty similar things. Yeah. Kirk Cousins is going to give you a lot of that 40-year-old retired white dad stuff. Mendoza's going to follow along with it. He's going to be a little bit goofy, but at least you have some people that they'll mesh together when they're talking about it. And obviously, you look at Mendoza's tape, it was really good last year. Yeah. You're also playing with a lot of grown men at Indiana.
Yes.
And if you look at it from a pure statistical standpoint, any other draft, Mendoza's probably still the best quarterback, but maybe he could be in the 2 to 3 range too. You look at people saying Dante Moore was coming out this year, Arch Manning was coming out this year. Arch Manning didn't look that great. Dante Moore had his moments. Mendoza's still probably going above them if they went to the draft this year, but it's a lot closer than people would say. So yeah, there's trepidation, but the Raiders are so woebegone when it comes to quarterbacks right now. And we suffered through probably the worst we're ever going to suffer through with Geno Smith leading the league in interceptions despite also missing games. So crazy. Any improvement from Kirk Cousins, from Mendoza, makes the team look better. And honestly, we got him set up with the right people to get him in a position to succeed, especially because he won't start right away. He's going to learn.
Yeah. I mean, every year we always say the next year, group of quarterbacks, that's going to be the class right there. They were saying it last year going into this one. Nussmeier from LSU, Allen from Penn State, Archie was supposed to be in this one more. With that old class, 2026 draft class is going to be real good. We don't know what's going to be. If you get a chance to get what you hope is your franchise quarterback, go get him. What are you losing out on? Hey, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Won't be anything new for Raider Nation, but the hope is that it does work. And you said it, Bossman has said it before. Oh, he was playing with grown men. Well, one, he's only playing with grown men in the NFL. So wouldn't that be an easy transaction? Two, was he the only guy playing with older players on his team? Or did everyone else have a chance to get older players too? I think I almost got offered a chance to go out there as well. But I got a bad knee and whatnot, back in my old playing days. Yeah. But I think that it was a good fit because one, like you said before, he's seen, sometimes when we look at players' tapes, when they throw a bad pass, get hit a little bit, they seem to buckle. Right. You always got to get him out that zone. That doesn't seem to be a problem for him. That's a plus when you go to the NFL.
Absolutely.
Not every pass he field was the perfect pass. He had moments where he struggled with some, but at the same time, we also saw when the moment came where he had to step up and rise to the occasion, he did it every single time. And when he took on top competition, I'm sorry, was his whole offense drafted in the first round? No, he had one other player go in the first round, and he was at the end of it. So it's not like he was out there with all these studs out there, regardless of how old they were. It was him making the right decisions, the right reads, the decisions to run rules need be, and it was awesome to see. First off, if he goes in the draft for Archie Manning, Archie's going first, number one, whatsoever. But I think Fernando, with what we're trying to do and what we're trying to ask, I think he can find success here from us because the system that Kubiak is bringing here is not one where you need to be the all-world quarterback that has all 5 tools. I need you to be smart, make wise decisions, don't turn the ball over, and when you need to, get the ball down the field. Things Mendoza can easily do. Yeah. So I like the pick from there. And then 2, on the other side, I also like the fact that, like you said, we're setting it up with Kirk Cousins as quarterback, but Mendoza also feels like with who else we got out there with Mr. Brady himself with this strong jawline, I feel like he's one of those that says, this is not my job. This is not me where I get to go out there. I don't have to worry about living a fast life or doing all these crazy things, being in every single commercial. Let me go out here and earn it and let me work hard for it. And that's hard to find sometimes with young players is somebody who wants to work for it and put the grind in. But when you got Mr. TB12 up there, Kubiak, and then you got Mendoza, that seems like a 3-headed monster of, we're gonna figure this out. May not be overnight or right away, but we're gonna figure this out. And I think within a year or 2, we're gonna be happy that we made this selection.
Yeah, I agree. I agree for the most part. Now, things got a little weird at the Raiders facility for that second pick.
You don't say.
Yeah, it didn't go over like Raider Nation felt that it should, right? Let me just take that, let me just make that light. I mean, with some light boos in the building, I will say.
They might have just been saying, move over. You never know. You never know.
The consensus, a lot of people are feeling like we passed over a dog to pick the player that we picked. I felt a little better about it later on in the draft when we picked up his teammate. So talking about Stooks and Johnson out of Arizona, the 2 safeties, they were a tandem in college. They know each other well. What I like about this is that we kind of did the same thing in free agency with the linebacker position, 2 dogs. This team needs chemistry, right? It's a new regime. It's for all intents and purposes, going to be a totally new system on offense and defense. If you look at what we did in this draft, drafting all these secondary players and players that can do multiple things. I'm seeing a lot of 3-4 probably being played with this. So you definitely need big safeties that can cover the field pretty well, that can come down and go up. So I like the fact that they put the tandem together. I think that the later pick helped the first pick. Who was you guys' favorite pick in this draft? I think we all have a consensus that we definitely got to steal later on. But who do you think, Bryson?
Well,
Kalani, go ahead.
I didn't mean to jump in on this one, but just real quick off that, I think off the second round pick, very quickly, I think a big part of it is because the entire offseason, all you're hearing is what's next after Mendoza. And so in our minds, subconsciously, we're being told if one of the wide receivers drops, go after that to give him a weapon. Or D-line put next to Max Crosby, who's a great guy. So you put him down there.
Yeah.
So if someone like a Kaden McDaniel is there, a Lee Hunter is there, go for one of them. That's all we heard about. So I don't, no disrespect to Stoops or him. I think he's a fantastic player, but I do think the consensus was that's where we would go since they're there. So everyone just had in their mind, they're there, go grab them. Then we make the trade. He's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And then who we make the trade with, they end up taking the player. So I was like, no.
That was rough.
Right? It was rough. But even later, Lee Hunter's still, you're like, but I think that's only because that's what fans were being told. As much as we love this and as much as we try to watch it, let's be honest, we're not sitting there watching the tape like the scouts actually do, where we can rewind it, check this, looking for that. We're kind of going off what we see, the little bit that we know, that we use expert opinions, like we do on this show, and other websites, and then we just form it. But if everyone's just telling you get a D lineman, that's what you're going to think. But to your question, my favorite was actually Mike Washington, the running back out of Arkansas. I know we got Ashton Jeanty at number 6. And look, that was a great pick. It was, we take a running back that high, but I like it because now it's a two-headed monster.
Yes.
And I love the fact, if you look at successstring teams,
that's what they got.
Two-headed monsters. You look at Seattle. Yes, Kaepernick got injured. But then the third string sets up, he's busting out the move. Keeping your boy Kenneth Walker healthy, they won a Super Bowl. So having that two-headed monster, I think, is a perfect combination. Washington 6'2", 220 plus, runs like a gazelle. So you got somebody who's now in limited cap, can be a game changer, a nice game breaker, give Ashton Jeanty a break. Imagine putting those guys back in the backfield in the I formation, and Fernando comes out, both guys can catch. Yeah. So now you're telling me, hey, now I got my receivers, my tight ends, and 2 running backs that can position to be options for me to check down or throw down the field with. So I like that sense, in the sense that, hey, we got the two-headed running back backfield, and now we can really get some things going with some different formations and options.
Yeah, I personally like the running back pick. You got Clint Kubiak's offense from Seattle, where he had Kenneth Walker III, and you had Zach Charbonnet. And to your point, Mike Washington, he's pretty fast. Ashton Jeanty's got the power. It's a little bit like Detroit Lions, where they had the Sonic and Knuckles before they decided to break that up and send one of them over to the Texans. Personally, I mean, TQ, you said it. We were working on the secondary. There's a guy in Tennessee.
Yeah, man.
Jermon McCoy, arguably one of the top corners in the draft class. Definitely. Somehow fell to pick 101 in the 4th round. We traded up to get him. Steal of the draft, 100%.
Agreed.
Now, the issue, obviously, he's coming back from an ACL injury. And what teams are reporting is that he's got a bone plug in his knee, and he might need a second knee surgery to get that removed. If that were the case and it becomes a bigger issue, maybe there's a longer recovery. But at the same time, we're taking a 4th round flyer on a guy with 1st round talent at a position we desperately need help with because our secondary was hot garbage last year.
Yeah.
We can afford to take the risk. Agreed. And so for me, I mean, you get a guy, his coverage skills are great. He's got great speed. It all depends on the recovery, obviously. But last I checked, I think we had a premier edge rusher also recovering from a knee injury.
Yeah.
It might not be the same knee injury, obviously, but Max Crosby's going under recovery right now for his meniscus. Maybe him and McCoy team up with their rehab. He can give him some tips. You can get him going a little bit faster. Also, you got to remember, Jermon McCoy tore his ACL back in 2025.
Yeah.
It is almost May of 2026. That is over about a year and a half right now that he has been not using that knee, not playing in games, not getting hit. So he is fresh. He's ready to go. We got Eric Stokes. We got Taron Johnston back there. You can just slide him in when he's healthy. He doesn't have to be the top corner. He doesn't even have to be the second best corner. He can be the 3rd to 4th guy right now. Take his reps, learn a little bit, get going. And then we got those 2 new safeties. All of a sudden we got a younger secondary that doesn't look as bad as it did last season. Maybe we can help a little bit because obviously you got those murderers row of quarterbacks. Mahomes when he comes back. Bo Nix when he comes back. Herbert. We got some guys that can maybe make some noise and make life a little bit harder for them. Plus, we got Max Crosby back on the D line. We got our new linebackers. Defense all of a sudden looking a little bit better than it did last year. As long as you can get that cohesiveness, we're doing a little bit better.
Yeah. On top of that, this defense really did some work, boy, since the last time we've seen them on the field. Traded away Tyree Wilson.
Bye-bye.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, that seemed to make a lot of people happy. That was a player that I was hoping would turn the corner just never seemed to. I mean, you see this guy at practice, you see him in pads, you see him walk through the facility, and it's like, damn.
Yeah.
But just on the field, it just always seemed to be a step slow, step out of place.
When you see him walking around, you say, damn. When you see him on the field, you're like, damn. but real quick, based off that, right? I think that when you're drafting, project players, you don't want to take unless your team is already set.
Right.
If you already have a set team where now I'm just adding in better talent, take a project player. Yeah. Because then, like you said with McCoy, I don't need you to do everything right away. You can come in, like, I hate saying this, but if you're the Niners, and you got the D-line.
Go ahead.
Right? You know what? Hold on, I'm going to switch it. If you're the Rams.
No, you said it right the first time.
And you got the D-line. I could bring in a project lineman to work out because now, while you get better, I can just throw you in certain formations, certain situations. But if I'm asking you to come in and be our anchor as a project, that's no bueno.
Right.
That's no bueno. So I don't want to take long on that. I hope he lands on his feet because he seemed like there were moments he was showing signs of, hey, maybe he's turning the corner. But it's one of those where you just say, if we would have took him this year, next year, wouldn't have felt so bad. Taking him when we did, when our line was, we were trying to still figure everything out, not good.
I think they just wanted a partner for Max for so long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, to Wilson's credit, he turned from absolute garbage to almost serviceable by the time that we got rid of him.
Yeah.
And credit to John Spytek, he did the same thing with Geno Smith. He took a guy that we weren't going to use, that we didn't really have a plan for, and he got something for him.
Correct.
At least we got a pick out of it. And also for Wilson, he's going to a pretty good setup because the Saints need an edge rusher. They helped Chase Young fix whatever was going on with him.
Right.
Now he's got a big contract. He's playing good. So Wilson can land on his feet in a position where they're going to help him out. They already know that they can do this. And so it's not like we're sending him to purgatory. We didn't send him to the Jets.
Correct.
We sent him to a spot that can hopefully help him develop because at least he gave us a few decent years.
And don't sleep on Keiron Crawford that we picked up, War Damn Eagle. He needs some development, but he definitely has that fast twitch. Could possibly be, that player that we wanted Wilson to be in the next couple of years.
War Eagle, but y'all Tigers. Okay.
Come on, man. We're not going to go into this. Cool. If you know, you know. If you don't, you don't.
You guys
it is what it is.
I don't think you guys know. That's why you keep calling it two different things. Auburn Tigers, what they say, War Eagle.
You know what?
I don't even know if there's an Eagle in Alabama.
You know what? You lose to me so much that you're just a hater. Like,
I lose to you?
Yeah,
I thought he loses to me.
First off, what does that
First of all, you wasn't supposed to be in this conversation. This was between me and him.
And secondly, how you gonna bring up the pro stuff in fantasy when we talking college? When's the last time Auburn played USC?
Oh,
the real USC.
Look. See, I can't get into this conversation. Y'all know he always catch me on some stuff that I can't really. He wants to talk bad about the Niners. He wants to talk bad about Auburn, but he uses USC and the Raiders to do so. What do I do when that happens? You just got to be quiet. Whatever. How do y'all feel about the overall draft? Give me your draft grade off of what you've seen so far. Got some undrafted free agents that we haven't talked about. Theirs not finalized yet, so I didn't really want to add them in.
No, of course. I thought we did a good job for the most part in getting players that I feel that if we need to, we can plug them in fairly early. Mm-hmm. One thing you want generally from any draft, whatever your team situation is, you want somewhere between your third to fifth rounders to be day one, week one, if healthy, contributors.
Yes.
Obviously, your first 3 rounds, I need you guys to be there in your starters or depending on the position, constantly in that rotation,
Absolutely.
Right? But if I can get a 4th and 5th rounder that can come in, whether it's starting or be in that rotation, I think it's good. If you look at the positions we went after, heavily on defense, which is a smart move. Draft defensively, get these guys young, and then build into it and get a rotation. We got some guys on the offensive side. We got another lineman. I know he's a center, but he's also played some guard. And I think protecting up the middle, like the Bears did with Caleb Williams, bringing in the guards that they did, and you saw how that worked out. I think, hey, we're building something here from the ground up. It's not going to be home run after home run, but I think with what we did, we got a lot of good base hits, some doubles. We've got a standing triple, I think, on one of them. So, in the 4th round. So I think we did really good in this draft. I'm not going to say it's an A+. I'm going to give it either A- or even a very high B, like 89.8 for that. I really like what we did this year in the draft. I feel more confident in what we did as opposed to other times where you felt good. You also felt like, if it works, if this happens. This one is like, okay, I like it.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think a B+ is B+ to A- is probably where I'm out. I know you talked about the offensive lineman. Personally, I didn't like that pick. We just paid Linderbaum $27 million a season. We had Jackson Powers Johnson last year. He's a center. We tried to move him to guard. It didn't work out. Yes, he was injured and missed half the season, but when he was there, he wasn't that good. We have a different regime in, so, I'll eat crow if all of a sudden JPJ turns a corner and all of a sudden he's an all-pro talent at guard.
It's possible.
But at the same time, we're now taking a guy who was just all-American at center, and we're going to have to put him at guard. We didn't work out last time. And again, it could just be me. We took him when I thought there were some other guys that were a little bit better. And I'm not going to say anything about Malik Benson. He's a 6th-round wide receiver. He could be fine. He could be great. But that 2nd-round pick, there was a guy from Washington available. A guy from Washington that would have really helped us.
Yeah.
Because right now, look at our roster. Who is the number 1 wide receiver? Trey Tucker? Isn't he just more of a speedster? I've seen him have a lot of issues getting to the ball. If it's not thrown directly where he's going to be, he's not able to make those adjustments. Or
our number 1 wide receiver is Brock Bowers, man.
He's a tight end. That's also.
But
we can have our number 1 weapon as tight end, but the issue is that you have nobody around him to take away from the coverage. So Brock Bowers gets double teamed. Who's about to go get open for us?
Trey Tucker.
Jalen Naylor.
Jalen Naylor. We brought him in for a reason.
Mayor.
As the other tight end.
Mayer's going to be wide open.
And here's the other thing, too. Not to jump in on your point, because you're making good points. Also, with the system that we're using, while he had Jason Smith and Jimba, it doesn't necessarily call for one dominant alpha at the wide receiver position.
Agreed.
Kind of like, I'm not going to say the team's name, but kind of like, where, hey, listen, our system, we can get wide receivers open. So it's nice to have that one dude that just stands in the X on the outside. No, we can move things around here and get in motion. Like I said before, we got the running backs in the backfield, now we got 2 tight ends. We throwing some different receivers that can do a few different things. I don't need you guys to overwhelm it. Just pop, touchdown.
Yeah, and that's fair. I mean, we can do the everybody eats. I think for me personally, I want to see a bigger body out there. I want to see a guy where you could put Trey Tucker in the slot. Or you can have him run outside and have someone else outside that's taking away defensive coverage. Because yes, we have Brock Bowers and he's amazing, but he can't be the only guy out there that's drawing double teams. We need someone else to make them nervous so that way they don't give Brock Bowers double teams all the time. And also for Fernando Mendoza's development, whenever he sees the field, you get in a young guy in like 2nd or 3rd round. We got Jack Beck last year. We also got Dante Thornton Jr.
Yeah, so now you're touching on it. I'm gonna give it a solid B. Because it remains to be seen. I need to see what the Ohio State guy does in Houston. He went to a perfect situation for himself. I think we're gonna miss that. We could have had that, and I think we're gonna miss it.
Yeah, Katie McDaniel.
Yeah, so I'm gonna leave it at a B. It may turn out better, but Bryson just hit on something that I'm saying about multiple units on this team. I do not believe that the offensive line, as it is today, is going to be anywhere close to as bad as it was last year. I think it's going to be a lot of rotation happening. So I think that we actually need players that could play multiple positions, and I think those players will play multiple positions. And actually, that's on both lines.
Yeah.
I feel like that's going to be the case on both lines, and it's going to make us a really dangerous team in due time. But in the wide receiver room, man, them guys that we picked last year, they are going to contribute to this team. There was a lot of confusion last year, a lot of trying to put square pegs in the round holes, and it just wasn't working. There was a lot of people who didn't know what they were supposed to do. Yeah. By the time the end of the season comes around, guys are checked out. They didn't like coming to work. Like, the frustration on the sideline last year was real, and it was real from training camp all the way up to the end of the season. I think a lot of that's going to be gone. I think you replaced a scheme that was just kind of weird that nobody was comfortable in, with a scheme that you've had an offseason, you've had a draft, free agency and the draft, where you've gone and got players who work in this scheme already, as opposed to going and get, this guy's athletic, this guy's this guy's that, let me bring him in and make him into this. I think there was a lot of that going on last year, and certain things like playing on the left side and playing on the right side. Like if you've done one way more than the other, those tendencies equal missed tackles on defense and missed assignments on offense, right? Mm-hmm. So I just believe that consistency is going to be the key. I think the Raiders brass from top to bottom, if this is not a good year, so what? If next year's not a great year, so what? Let's be realistic here. Let's put these young kids and these free agents and all of these people that we've gotten in a system and let them stay there. Let's get the reps. The one thing that we have not had in Las Vegas since we got here is the reps. All of the switching, all of the changing. I think we got the regime right now. It's making Raider Nation feel good. I like this team. My thing is, it's a murderer's row. Like I said, for our schedule this year, it's going to be the hardest schedule we played probably since we've been here. And I'm not necessarily expecting a playoff run. I'm expecting improvement in competition from last year. Yes, exactly. We were supposed to compete last year, and we didn't get it. I think we can get it this year. What's your closing statements?
Double-digit wins right there. I'm looking somewhere between the 12 to 13 win range. 12 or 13 wins going. It is going to happen. We're going to have the rookie of the year at the quarterback position. We're going to have an MVP candidate on the defensive side of the ball, Max Crosby, who's a great guy, by the way. Really good guy, fantastic guy. And we're going to have some dynamic. We're going to be aggressive. We're going to go after. We're going to average more than 20 points a game. I can tell you that right now.
I can believe that. Yeah. For sure.
No, but in all seriousness, no. I do think going into this year, for the next 2 years, it's growing.
Yeah.
Growing and learning. So while you want to win, and that's the ultimate goal here, key is to make sure that we get everything in place to do so. I think, one, get these guys in the right positions that they need to be out there coaching them up, but also let them play. Be aggressive. Whenever Mendoza gets out there, unleash him. Do not hold him back. We've seen too many times coaches bringing young guys in, we got to bring them along slowly here, and now give it to them. Because the guys who show out that they can do it, they just had the brains to go out there and do it. I drafted you first overall. I think you're pretty good. Go keep the Ferrari in. Open it up a little bit out there on the road. Don't go 200 miles trying to hit the corner, but go out there, open it up a little bit. Same thing on the defensive guys that we brought in. Yeah. Look what they got to do. If some of them are specialists, like your boy Kevon Crawford from Auburn, okay, beef up a little bit, get a little stronger, but hey, you pretty quick off that edge.
Yeah, get in there sometimes.
See ball, get ball. Sure. Same thing. So on offense, okay, maybe you're not the number one guy, but even if you're really good at boom, boom, get over, boom, boom, get over. Yeah. We'll move things around. Right now, learn and grow and try to be as impactful as possible. The wins may not come as often as we want them to do. I don't think it's going to be like last year where we lose 10 in a row, but I honestly, in all seriousness, I see us getting somewhere between possibly 5 to 7 wins this year.
Oh my God, I can't believe it. He said something sensible, ladies and gentlemen. Wow.
You go back at the tape. I always do. Just listen to me.
I like your 5 to 7 argument. I would say I'm probably a little bit closer to 6 to 8. I think Kirk Cousins is going to be better than expected. I'm not saying he's going to go out there and he's going to win every single game he starts. But I'm also fully on the mindset of Mendoza's going to play at some point this year.
When do you see him playing?
I would say after the bye.
Okay.
I think if you give Kirk Cousins till the bye, you've given plenty of tape for Mendoza to look at. You've gotten about half the season done. Then you can go plug Mendoza in and just see what you got. Because you can look at a team like the Patriots 2 years ago when they drafted Drake May. They went out there and they trotted out Jacoby Brissett. The team was kind of wasn't really great. Drake May came in, he gave them life, they looked competitive, they still lost a lot of games. But that's kind of what we need. We just need Mendoza to go out there and look good. Because then we already had a good offseason where we signed a bunch of people. Next year, we have another offseason of building. Not saying we're going to do the exact same thing the Patriots did, where all of a sudden they went to the Super Bowl before they got smacked.
Yeah.
But at least we're building it up, and we're looking at like we're finally doing something for once.
Yes.
I like the way that the defense is trending. We got a lot of good linebackers. We finally, hopefully, have a running mate for Max Crosby on the edge. Our secondary is getting some improvements. You look at the offense, like TQ said, it's going to be really hard for the offensive line to be as atrocious as last year.
Right.
It'll be really hard for our quarterbacks to be as bad as last year.
Yeah.
I think wide receiver-wise, I personally don't trust Jack Betch and Dante Thornton Jr. that much because I didn't see them do a lot last year, even when they were on the field. And that's also partially because we, for some reason, brought in Tyler Lockett and then decided he was our wide receiver one. We don't have that this year. We have a bunch of other people, and we have a new system, a new coach. Should be better. I don't like where our wide receiver room is at, but I do think it's a little bit better. And I like that we added a younger guy behind Ashton Genty, like Kalani said. We gave him a running mate, so Ashton's not feeling like he has to do everything. He could take a breather, and we got a speed guy out there who can also catch the ball.
You gotta teach him how to block.
Yeah, he'll have to take a few lessons out there.
Yeah.
But we have a solid group that feels like it's the start of something.
Yeah.
And so all we need to do is win a few games. If we could double our win total from last year from 3 to 6, that's a miracle. That right there should be counted as a success. Anything above 5 or 6 wins is really the biggest win this season because, as TQ said, our schedule sucks.
Man.
For a 4th place schedule, it's still ridiculous.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. But look, a lot of sensibility on the show today. Nobody talking crazy over here. This was a Franchise Podcast Raider Roundtable. Sitting on the couch, Mr. Kalani Lula, Mr. Bryson Doty, myself, your boy TQ. Let us know how y'all feel about this draft in the comments. Tell us where we're crazy. Tell us what you hated about it. Tell us what you loved about it. Give us your grades. I think this was a good draft this year for the Raiders. And I think it's also going to show how good last year's draft was because those players, I feel, didn't get a shot with the situation in the coaching rooms. So, we'll holler at you when we get some more business going. Somewhere around training camp, we'll probably do this again. But we'll be able to talk about the undrafted free agents, guys that we feel are going to make the team, won't make the team, and all that good stuff. Meanwhile, follow us across social media at The Franchise LV. This was The Franchise Podcast with your boy TQ. Holla.
Tell me who won least star animal.